Could fairies be real? This is All Things Creepy, let's begin. The concept of the fairy is an example of folklore that stands the test of time. If we look back in history and piece things together, it becomes clear that the idea of a fairy comes from multiple different cultures and folklores, mostly European, such as Scandinavian, Germanic, even Greco-Roman. The word itself even reflects this, changing various times throughout history, having multiple forms even to this day: fairy, fae, fair folk, all with various spellings. So it's no surprise that fairies still play a key role in pop culture today. In this video we're going to be breaking down some of the key pieces of evidence that I was able to find, going through it in detail and of course having a good time while we do it. Believe it or not, there's actually a large amount of dashcam and ring doorbell footage of supposed fairies caught on camera. This is one example which I think exemplifies what most of them show. This is a video by Simple Things uploaded 3 years ago, well before the advent of AI video. So for a brief amount of time we see something move across the camera lens. It's presumably very small and flying. It's hard to make out any discernible features of this actual creature or object because it's simply far away and the resolution of the camera does not allow that, even though it is fairly good resolution. The thing that makes people think this may be a fairy is this trail, this almost glittering trail that seems to follow it. Looking through the comments, this seems to be the thing that people are drawing the most attention to, claiming that this makes it a fairy. In my opinion, this and most of the videos like it are capturing insects. Insects are quite active at night and they do appear to have a glowing quality when recorded with night vision cameras because they're reflecting the light. The trail of lights behind it is interesting, however, and not characteristic of any insects that I'm aware of. It is, however, characteristic of this type of camera, in particular ring doorbell cameras. These night vision cameras are not designed to shoot movies, they are simply designed efficiently for security purposes. So the resolution and speeds of things that they're able to capture simply can't quite keep up with fast moving small objects like this, and it leads to some backscattering. The reflection of the light coming off of the object creates this trail, almost lagged images captured afterwards. The next style of video is different. It's usually of daytime footage and usually it's either a close-up or you can at least determine the anatomy of these creatures. The clarity is a bit better. The channel that I feel epitomizes this the most is Owen Saunders. He's an older gentleman who has a roam around in the woodlands and claims to have sighted fairies. He calls them pixies sometimes as well, and there's actual footage of this. In this first scene, he's wandering around as usual, and then he stays very still and manages to capture what appears to be a fairy or pixie peeking over the edge of a hill or a cliff, and then it quickly leaves.
Oh, sorry about that. He was doing. Oh, there he is. Okay, let's. There.
We get a very brief, long-distance view of this, but you can more or less clearly see what it is. It's definitely not any animals that we know of. And this clip has been passed around on TikTok a lot, and of course, a lot of people just instantly believe that fairies are real, but we're going to look into it and try and see if we can dig a little bit deeper. So looking through Erwin's channel, there appear to be a number of videos like this. However, some of them you get a more zoomed in shot and you get to see these creatures more clearly. In this one in particular, you can see the creature, pixie, fairy, whatever you want to call it, with relative clarity. And here, in my opinion, it's quite easy to see the pixelation. It's easy to see that this is characteristic of a 3D model. You can tell by the texturing, you can tell by the way the eyelids blink, and although it's well done and it's definitely decent work, I think it's safe to say that he's probably using these 3D models for all of the videos, even the ones where the shot is further away and you can't quite make it out with 100% certainty. Now, he does seem like a sweet guy, and I don't know if he's trying to pass these off as real. I think he's kind of trying to make his own little found footage film, or ARG if you will, but in my opinion these are certainly CGI, and I think the same can be said for many of the other videos on YouTube that are like this. And honestly, at this point, if it's something that's being passed around on TikTok, I always just assume that it's fake. So now we're going to shift from video to physical artifacts. There have been a number of so-called fossilized fairies that have been found, and we're going to have a look through some of them. Here's a picture that I've seen circulating social media and the internet quite a lot. Now, this appears to depict a stone that has been cleaved in half, and inside, the classic fossilized remains of a tiny humanoid skeleton and then some insectoid wings, typical of the classic fairy. Now, after some digging, I found that this is confirmed to be a hoax. The creator confirmed that he built this, basically, a sculpture if you will. Another quote-unquote fossil, we have a supposed mummified fairy, the Derbyshire mummified fairy to be exact. So this is an example of natural mummification. This is what would happen if something were to fall into a bog, and then years and years of that constant pressure of that liquid mud just creates a perfect preservation. Once again, we have the humanoid skeletal remains. Almost looks like there's some tissue remaining as well, which does happen sometimes with this form of mummification. And wings, which are somewhere between insectoid and leaf-like. This was found by Dan Baines, a local man who noticed a gap had opened up in one of the nearby barrows, which are effectively iron or Stone Age burial mounds. He found this creature inside and took it home to examine it. This was all the way back in 2007, and since then images of this creature have circulated all over the internet and caused a vast array of speculation. However, Dan Baines himself in 2016 confirmed that this was indeed a hoax. He's an artist and created this as a sculpture. To me, this is one of the most realistic looking hoaxes, and it says a lot about a lot of the other supposed evidence we have out there. Most likely they're hoaxes as well. Remember, someone who creates a hoax, that definitely doesn't mean they're going to come forward and claim that it's a hoax. It's lucky that Dan Baines did, otherwise we still wouldn't know to this day. So, in summary, after trawling the internet, a lot of the evidence for fairies is either a hoax or a low-resolution image of an insect. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't real, and if you have any more compelling pieces of evidence that you'd like me to take a look at, let me know down in the comments. Like the video if you did, share it with a friend, hit the bell for notifications, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more creepy content.